Sheriff Swanson, why don't you think more police haven't done what you have done?
Well, I can tell you that sometimes police see dropping your swords and being vulnerable is a sign of weakness. And it is the farthest thing from weakness. Mr. Floyd changed American policing because now we see that by responding in a way of just listening and de-escalating, you can make history. And that's what happened in Flint, Michigan.
Well, I couldn't agree more. And, one of the things that I have to say, sitting here as a white male in America, is white privilege is a real thing. It really exists. And I have to acknowledge that. I can walk in a store and not be followed. I can drive a nice car through any neighborhood and not be stopped because I'm driving a nice car. I can be pulled over by the police and not fear that this is the most dangerous 5 minutes of my life. And if I'm not willing to acknowledge that, then there's no way I can become a catalyst for change. And I want to use my platform to give a voice. And Representative Bass, in the white community, we have to walk with all people of color to precipitate this change and make it at a policy level. How do we do it on the Hill? How do we do it, as former President Obama just wrote about a few days ago, at the local level as well? How do we precipitate that change?
I do have to tell you that you just don't know how meaningful it is to hear your words about recognizing the difference. And then for the sheriff, that is just, it's quite emotional, the idea that he would do what he did, because part of it has to be a cultural change within the police department. So when it comes to inner city communities, the police come in with a warrior mentality. Mm-hmm. When it comes to affluent communities, and in my district, I represent very affluent communities and I represent the inner city, and policing is completely different on both sides of my district. Legislatively, the police, especially police unions, have been very powerful over the years, passing legislation that makes it virtually impossible to hold them accountable. And so those are some of the policy issues that we are going to roll out in the next week congressionally. And then with my colleagues, elected officials who are afraid to take a vote that is going to make them look weak on quote unquote crime. And so we're going to have to really push on the Hill with Democrats and with Republicans to say this is a moral moment and we need to take a stand. This really makes us look bad around. You have protests all around the world against what is happening in the United States. And as we fight for human rights on the international stage, we absolutely have to fight for human rights at home.
And protest is right. Protest is a righteous thing to do, and we fought to have that right in America. There's no question that we have to use that energy to bring about change. And Representative Bass, I just thank you so much for your words today. And Sheriff Swanson, thank you so much, not only for what you did, but for your words of wisdom here today in challenging other officers to do the same thing. So thank you both.
Very well.
Thank you.